Cash is going away. Physical dollars are going to be eliminated, pushed by central bank digital currency, the Fed, central banks, cryptocurrency, businesses. Who else is pushing for no cash?
Who else is pushing for no cash?
Cashless society, all digital. Apple Pay, Chase Bank with the little tap to access the ATMs, which could be very detrimental to your checking account and savings account balances.
You know who's not pushing for cashless society? Children, the ones who want their money from the tooth fairy, from grandma and grandpa and their Christmas cards and birthday cards and things like that. The kids aren't going to know what to do when there's no cash to give them anymore.
Well, actually, the kids don't want a quarter. They want $20. They want Cash App. They want the bright neon card.
A 7-year-old doesn't know about the Cash App card.
But they will. Because the direction that all this is going is literally going to push them in a direction where the only cash they know is a digital app.
That's so crazy.
And the word cash to them won't mean what it meant to us.
Yeah.
So it says that global cashless payment volumes expected to continue to increase, whereas more consumers are leveraging contactless payments at the point of sale, and more businesses are also shifting their focus towards cashless payment methods, paying the extra processing fee to do such as well. And according to a recent report by PwC, the shift to digital payments was already increasing pre-pandemic. Global cashless payment volumes are expected to increase by more than 80% between the years of 2020 and 2025. And this translates to about 1 trillion transactions to about 1.9 trillion transactions, and to almost triple by 2030.
You know what else it means? A lot more people losing jobs because.
Yeah, for
Am I
sure.
jumping ahead? Sorry.
No, I mean,
Okay, because that's my first thought. You go to the gas station and you pay with your card at the pump, but if you want something to drink, you go inside, and a lot of times you'll pay with cash for that. But if you don't need cash, you don't need the person behind the window to take your money and give you change.
well, actually, I put up a video a few weeks ago about a contractor who's under contract for multiple gas stations between Georgia and Alabama that were going to be 100% unmanned.
There's already one of those in Alabama. Is that right? Is that where that one is?
Maybe.
Have you seen it? Okay, so there's this gas station where literally you pull up, you pay at the pump. To get in the door, you have to swipe your card. I'm pretty sure you swipe your card to get in the door so they know who went in there. And then everything in there is in some sort of vending machine, and then that's it.
That's like the Bank of America location we went to. I think it was in California, where there was no people in it, and I used my card to get in.
Yep.
But think about it. These gas stations, these stores could be operated like hotels. Whereas when you swipe your card, you are allowed access in, and you don't even need the vending machine. If it's weighted, they're going to charge you for it.
Yeah.
You take it off the platform, they're going to charge you for it.
That's like the grocery store, the Amazon store in the UK. That's
Yeah.
already like that.
And with, facial recognition, RFID, near field communication, they'll be able to determine what you have and charge you for it. With OpenAI, ChatGPT, like, you don't need to even worry about checking out.
I don't know if you'll be okay with me mentioning this, but over the last couple of years when people had to wear things on their face to cover up the majority of their face, I think that actually helped the facial recognition so that in the future when you tried to go rob something, all they really needed were your eyes and eyebrows at that point to be able to recognize you.
What movie were y'all watching last night where they were talking about changing the eye color?
Oh, I don't know the name of the movie, but they were talking about back in Germany, the changing eye color so that everybody had the blonde hair, blue eyes instead of brown eyes.
So it says here that the Asia Pacific is the fastest growing region, which will see its cashless transactions volume increase by 109% by 2025, and will continue to grow by 76% from 2020 to 2030. And the U.S. and Canada are also growing rapidly at 43 and 35% respectively. But China theoretically is leading the charge here, and we are close behind. Question then is asked, is cash still king, or is the king dead? And it says that while we are progressing more towards a cashless society, cash is still king, at least in some places. 2018, lawmakers in New Jersey, San Francisco, and Philadelphia cracked down on businesses that refused to accept cash. And that's because cashless businesses discriminate against the unbanked, as these individuals may not have access to either a bank account or a credit card. But that's New Jersey, that's New Jersey, the state of New Jersey, the city of San Francisco, and the city of Philadelphia. That means that there's a large percentage of the country left over that has not cracked down on businesses refusing to accept cash.
You know why San Francisco and probably areas around Philly? High homeless population there. Most people give them change or cash on the side of the street. And if they couldn't go in and buy anything, they would definitely starve.
That is a question that has been asked recently more often about, well, if there's no cash, how do you help the homeless?
I guess the government doesn't want the homeless helped.
So it says that in 2020, a bipartisan Senate bill was introduced to prohibit retailers from banning cash payments. It was introduced. They argue that banning cash entirely could discriminate against the 6% of Americans who don't have a bank account. And the largest groups who do not have access to contact payment solutions include low-income individuals, older adults, homeless, and who else?
Children.
Immigrants.
Oh, that was my next one.
Meanwhile, in Sweden, they are already ditching cash, but they're waiting for the fallout, maybe. And it says that switching to digital money risks shutting out some of the most vulnerable members of society. And they got a little picture here of a seemingly elderly man with glasses, squinting at money, what looks like used to be in circulation now behind glass in a museum.
Well, there's a lot of places I feel like they want to make it harder for the low income, homeless immigrants to participate.
It's interesting because as hard as they're making it for the working class, you would think that it would be even harder for the
Yes,
homeless,
I agree.
the undocumented. Nearly a decade, according to Bloomberg, later has almost got his wish. And it says here that a minority of Swedes said in a survey that they used cash in the previous 30 days, while a whopping 95% of 15 to 65-year-olds have downloaded mobile payment apps, one of which being Swish, which is owned by lenders including Danske Bank AS and Swedbank AB. Phone tapping and card swiping dominate shopping, donations for the homeless, and church collections. Cash transactions declined to 8% of business payments at the end of 2022 from 18% 5 years before.
But
So it says here that with such low volumes, it's effectively unprofitable to handle cash. And they have a solution here for donations and homeless.
well, you have to think about it this way. Over the past couple of years, we've been programmed, I'm going to use the word programmed, not to use cash because we were told, germs stay on money. So a lot of people didn't want to take money for a few years. Then we were told there was a coin shortage, although I never understood that one. So people weren't using coins. And then a lot of people weren't going out and shopping. So they were staying home and paying online and using different apps to pay for stuff. So it's something that you've become accustomed to. So if in the next 6 months they go, hey, listen, just think of it like you thought of it during 2020 to 2022, where cash wasn't an option because of this pandemic we were in. It's easier for you as a person to go, okay, well, that makes sense. We want to save the germs. We want to save the coins. So we'll just pay this way instead.
Well,
and that was worldwide. It's not even just here. So it's like a worldwide ease
the world,
into CBDC.
Why we're inching closer towards, we're on the brink, the cusp of a global economy pushed by the WEF, World Economic Forum.
Is that what we call them? WEF?
WEF. They're gonna like
WEF.
back in the day, people would make jingles and slogans. They're just gonna be like WEF. And this is all by design by the quote unquote elite leadership. And the shortage is relative to supply and demand. The shortage is relative to supply and demand. Like we've seen this throughout the pandemic and this post-pandemic recovery. But if the majority of the population that used coins didn't leave their home because of their age, their fear factor of the unknown, all the misinformation that was provided by numerous health agencies, quote unquote health agencies, and pharmaceutical companies, and just
People looking to make money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Government officials
Government.
looking to make money, which is crazy, which on this platform, you were not allowed to say anything against them at that time.
Oh yeah, no, I remember.
It was illegal, theoretically. If they aren't engaging in the economy like they were, then their supply will affect the shortages with the demand going up
I
of
like
people who previously didn't use cash, now using it, but those who were using coins, because most younger generations use cash, dollar bills. The older generations use coins.
true. True. When we go out places, our kid doesn't say, "Hey, can I have your credit card?" She goes, "Hey, can I have money? Can I have some cash?" Because kids like holding it and handing it over and getting the money
And
back.
she's got a purse full of coins that she
does.
refuses to use because it's not as glamorous as making it rain at the counter buying.
Can you just imagine throwing a
tackies.
handful of quarters at somebody?
It says that, according to Bloomberg, Sweden's an extreme case. It's a small, tech-savvy economy, but the direction of travel is the same everywhere. Accelerated by a pandemic that saw QR codes replace restaurant menus and spending online rise. Even in Sweden, where lockdowns were less strict, given central banks everywhere are mulling their own digital currencies to offset the risks of cashlessness, there are lessons for us all. So was this part of the plan? When
Duh.
they were in the lab in Wuhan,
Duh.
were they like also talking about, all right, like when we let this go, like this is like multiple domino pieces.
Well, like I said, the facial recognition, that was part of it. The getting away from using cash is definitely part of it. The willing to accept anything you're told and follow the rules and directions. The making you stay inside.
Well, no, you got a good point there, because I was actually watching Clayton Morris. It was either Morris Invests or it was redacted. I can't remember exactly, but he had mentioned the 15-minute cities,
Oh yeah, I've been talking about those forever.
which the 15-minute cities have been around for years, like Avalon,
In Georgia and Atlanta.
the Avenues, Halcyon, even here, Destin Commons isn't, but 30A is being built to be more of a 15-minute city,
Correct.
and everybody was okay with it.
You're okay with it when you're on vacation. That's what I was telling you when we were driving around, that a lot of people are complaining about these 15-minute cities because it feels like you're being corralled into these. But when you go on vacation, what do? You look for the place where within 15 minutes you can get to anything you want and everything's right there.
It's got me thinking about The Village, M. Night Shyamalan, The Village.
I love that movie.
But if you think about it like this, if we're moving to a cashless society, if we're moving to a digital society, if we're moving to a central-based digital currency, or even a crypto, XRP, Ripple, Bitcoin, BTC, ETH, Ethereum, if you're in a 15-minute city and they're using this technology, OpenAI, ChatGPT, DALL-E, DID, Bard, Google, Microsoft, GitHub, all these companies getting involved in this tech, they're going to be able to utilize this tech in a way to make every function automated without the need of people, really, which then kind of like poses the question, how do you make money? But we'll gloss over that for the time being. However, when it comes time to conducting business, if they know everyone with a digital footprint, a digital tracking device, a digital scan, Palm, Retina, CBDC being your tracker, these smart cards that they're talking about preloading for people with expiration dates on the money,
Yeah.
then they'll know everyone in the 15-minute city. It'll be easier to pinpoint
Sounds
who's
like a camp when you put
who's
it
the
like that.
problem, pinpoint who's stealing or trying. Like, they're gonna know. Like, you're gonna be in this little cage. Bloomberg says that consumers and businesses also seem to like the new state of affairs, especially those startups taking a cut. It's become easier to spend more, maybe too much, as Gen Z shoppers fall prey to buy now, pay later loans. Affirm was one of them. They'll let you just set up terms online without any real information.
So Affirm is one that Walmart, when they did away with their layaway, they moved to Affirm instead. So It used to be you could just go to Walmart. Remember Kmart when it was around Sears even? You could put stuff on layaway and come in and pay a little bit at a time. Well, Walmart was like, well, that doesn't help us make the money. It doesn't get you what you want. So what we're going to do is instead of making you get a Walmart credit card, we just have something called a firm here. It's basically a buy now, pay later kind of thing. That way you can get your layaway faster.
What's interesting is they're finding new ways to take more money away from this upcoming generation. But maybe they're completely off base here because perhaps maybe they need to be teaching this upcoming generations new ways to make more money. Because if the new generation coming in can't make the money, what good are these businesses trying to take all their money? They're not going to have any. They're not going to have any to spend.
I keep wondering that too, because it's like they want to dumb down the kids, and then they don't want to hire anybody. There's jobs going away. So does it just become this weird, like they didn't think it through, and it becomes this weird thing where you work to live, basically, and
Well,
money isn't needed anymore. But in order to,
that's universal basic income. That's the socialist Marxist society that seemingly our government is pushing towards. But I digress. Risks have emerged, according to Bloomberg, though. One is digital exclusion. Homeless people may accept cards, but pensioners and refugees can be shut out by a cashless world. This goes hand in hand with the computer says no problem, which is odd because G.I. Justin mentioned on his video the other day about OpenAI being sentient and basically telling its instructor, the person commanding it, no. You should worry about that.
go watch Terminator.
And when today's digital payments systems fail, they really fail, as Swish users discovered last year when the entire network went down.
That was my next one because they want to move everything online. But what happens when online gets hacked? We know that anything can get hacked. What happens when a grid goes down and you have no power? You can't do anything.
This is dangerous. On a recent trip to Brussels, I visited a bar that took pride in its contactless, cashless system, requiring customers to order drinks on their smartphones. But when a tech glitch hit, there was no fallback. So this is dangerous because, all right, maybe this particular bar would make you pre-order. Okay, they're not going to serve you a drink without you having paid for it. Whereas inversely, maybe that's their only method of accepting payment. Now they've got all these tabs open. No one has cash. The contactless, cashless system crashes, and now this restaurant is just out all this money.
Look at this at numerous different ways, just from that one story. A lot of times when you go out, the easiest way to leave a tip is through cash so that servers do not have to claim it on their taxes because they don't make much money to begin with. And then when you tip on a credit card, they have to pay taxes on that, whatever else. You are also less willing to leave a bigger tip on a credit card than you are in cash. So they're going to get messed up there. Now, also, the whole fact of you need a smartphone in order to do anything in life in the future really hurts people under 18 and over a certain age or under a certain income, or it makes it so that the cell phone companies are the real winners here because you're going to have some sort of phone in order to live.
It makes sense. So obviously the Fed, central bank, IRS, they want to put an end to this cash deal business. They want all their tax money, okay?
Because then you can't track what the Fed is doing.
Then also the tip is going to be digital, cashless, touchless, but it's going to start at 25%, 30% on the options menu.
It's not going to give you the ability to leave just $1 or $2.
Then we'll see some further subsidies and pushes by the government. You don't think that there was a financial push to get Pfizer to Moderna and Johnson & Johnson to, ramp up their production at a time where, people were told to shelter in place and not go to work?
You see how well those things are working out.
So just know that more than likely you may even see it. You may even see a company like Nokia or Motorola or Kyocera pop their head out and engage in a contract with the government to provide low-cost smartphones to give to everyone so that they can engage
That's
in
what I was
this.
going to say. Doesn't the government have something right now already for people on certain benefits where they help them with a cell phone to get a phone?
They're gonna make it
or
happen.
whatever? Yeah.
And then they're gonna tax you for it.
Yeah.
But then the other thing is with businesses like these, okay, sure, you prepay for your services so you don't lose revenue. Or you find yourself in a situation where it's time to cash out, the system goes down and you're screwed. Or you prepay, the system goes down, people know it's down, they can't engage, therefore your business is literally a sinking stone in the pond. Now, vulnerability is another issue. We might feel safer with fewer banknotes in our pockets late at night, but crime has also gone digital and conjured up new types of fraud. Transaction data is increasingly in the hands of big tech conglomerates like Meta platforms, which spook global regulators when it tried to launch its own currency. Meta tried to launch its own currency in the Meta, which is really dicey.
Metaverse.
And in a world where hackers are sponsored by governments and cyber banks can strike critical infrastructure, payments are a geopolitical risk. Quote, if Putin invades Gotland, Sweden's largest island, it will be enough for him to turn off the payment system, end quote, warned one pro-cash campaigner in 2018. But speaking of the Meta, it's no different than being in Roblox and Bloxburgs. They have their own payment system, okay? And that doesn't necessarily have any connections to the federal monetary system. Now, one answer may be to fight to protect cash rather than to replace it, as powerfully argued in Cloud Money by author Brett Scott. But this is no panacea. Our march towards cashless payments isn't going to suddenly stop, and private companies want it too much, and consumers can't do much about it. And it says here that the Copenhagen Business School headman said, convenience is something that is damn hard to legislate against. But they'll try.
Of course they'll try.
Even if we could stop it, should we? Digital colonization by a former actor's payment offering or by another crypto-related attempt at disrupting such as stable coins or DeFi would be a bad outcome. The Bank of England warns we live in a world of potentially instantaneous bank runs. And we've already seen that. We've seen the bank runs happening with these exchange platforms. And there's no easier way to lock people out than cutting off their ability to access it digitally. Now, when there's a problem physically at the bank, people want to show up. But when it's all digital, there's nowhere to go.
Well, I was about to say, here's the thing. Once everything goes CBDC, you don't need the banks anymore. You don't need to go in to cash a check or speak to a teller for any reason whatsoever. There'll be no more bank robberies because there's nothing to rob from them. There's no, if you hear snorting, it's because my dog just walked out here. There's no need for the banks in general. Imagine what that does to movies in the future. There goes all your bank robberies in movies and the heists and all that other the police chases and stuff with money flying out the back. Unless you just see computers falling out the back because it's holding all of the information of CBDC holders.
So it says, hence why, well, in that case, they're going to be coming for people's personal keys. That's going to be interesting. Then it's also going to be interesting where people hide their personal keys,
Yeah.
Cavity searches here.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So hence why one potential answer is a central bank issued digital currency. Such a move shouldn't be undertaken lightly, and it could increase traceability and complexity and create new risks if it competes with commercial banks, according to colleagues at Marcus Ashworth in their arguments. Now, I've got a headline here, Navigating the Murky Waters of a Cashless Policy. And this is actually, this article, I'm not going to go into it too deeply, but it says that the cashless policy of the federal government has been a subject of sharp criticisms from inception, despite its huge benefit to the economy. We can tell who wrote this article. But it says that the cashless policy of the federal government, spearheaded by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, arguably has remained to date the most talked about program in the country, perhaps next to the 2023 presidential elections in Africa. Now, this is understandable when one considers its effect on the economy and generality of the populace. But Nigerians are also in the middle of a huge financial disruption and facing literally being wiped out by these banks as they switch over to this cashless process. I've got a video on it. I hope you guys go check it out.
So going cashless saves the trees. In theory, you could save a couple trees, and going more digital with learning and stuff saves trees from books and whatnot. But the whole cashless means you don't have to worry about how to launder your money anymore. It means that the transactions that are happening on street corners around the world will probably become less, whatever kind of transactions you guys want to picture there. But it also seems to me that it'd be easier for people to steal your money if it's digital. It's easier to hack into something you can transfer from left to right than it is to walk up to somebody and stick them up and take their cash money.
What's crazy is that a lot of people are seeing their money stolen from the places that they're putting it. For
Yeah.
instance, FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, like they there's no question on who took it, where it went. Like you put it there.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, somebody broke into my house. I don't know who it was. No, we know exactly who did it.
Yeah.
And that's where we're headed. But it says here, and this is from Evanston, Illinois. Businesses offer different reasons for going cashless. And this was posted just a few days ago, but it says that crime, economics, peace of mind, small business owners offered different reasons at a meeting with city officials on why they went cashless. Evanston economic development officials held the meeting over Zoom. So we're talking about being more physical in a digital way.
Yeah.
Inviting feedback from business owners on an ordinance that would require Evanston businesses to accept cash payments for customers. And about half of the group of 17 people were owners of small businesses, with a number of them sharing detailed reasons behind their decisions to go cashless.
Real quick, that's interesting to me because there's a lot of places around here, like restaurants, when you go in on the door, it says, if you aren't paying cash, we will be charging you the fee that we have to pay to run a credit card. So we've gone places where our bill comes out and it's $6 more than it would have been because we didn't pay cash. So it's a good way for credit card companies and all these other places to continuously make more money off of you if you're having to run a credit card.
Yeah, that was actually like G.I. Justin. He had made a reference to a small business owner charging a cash price versus a non-cash price. And what my response to it was at the end of the day, the business owner still makes the same amount of money.
It's just who past them makes more.
So City Council member Devin Reed, 8th Ward, proposed the ordinance which would amend the city code to prohibit businesses from banning cash payments. And Reed has said he is making the proposal on behalf of the unbanked, referring to those without bank accounts, debit, or credit cards so they could have the same access to goods and services at food and retail establishments as those with bank accounts, debit cards, and credit cards. And he estimated that based on a national survey, as many as 5,000 in just his town alone might fall into the category of being unbanked. And it says here that we think about undocumented folks, we think about seniors, folks of color who are disproportionately unbanked in the U.S. and in our community. Now, again, this is the second time I've read an article where it's mentioning folks of color in relation to financial economy, banking. I've never been disproportionately, affected and unbanked. I don't know if this is 100. I don't know.
Well, you've also not had a low income issue at the same time, or felonies, or the cities that some of these people may be living in.
I don't think that it has anything to do with income, location. I think it has to do with education, which is what I just mentioned. Why are these companies trying to find more ways to take more money from Gen Zers and these millennials coming up, but they're not teaching them how to make more money?
Yeah.
Like this makes why am I raising all my prices and lowering all their wages so you can't afford what I'm trying to sell you? This makes no sense. Okay, the banks exist, the opportunities exist. We're 100%. I can go start. I can go get an e-bank. I can get a fintech bank. I can get a neobank online. The fact of the matter is that there are groups of people who are disproportionately undereducated.
Yeah, okay,
they're not
that-
underbanked.
yeah, that makes
They're
sense.
undereducated.
Yeah.
It says that under the proposal, a business that refuses to accept cash on charges above $20 could face a fine of up to $1,000 for its first violation and up to $1,500 for subsequent violations. And the ordinance would allow consumers to report violations by calling the city's 311 phone line.
Now, keep in mind, you also have places that wouldn't let you use your card if it was under $5. So then you had to buy a little extra in order to use your card if you didn't have cash. So
There you go.
there's reasons everywhere to fall in line with whatever they're trying to push for the moment.
The business owners explain their reasons. Mark Quamson, the beauty of doing these articles and reading them and not necessarily like really prepping for them is no one has a normal name.
Yes, always that way.
Quiamzon, Quamson. I think that's right. One of the owners of Cinnaholic said that crime was the reason the restaurant went cashless. Our cash box was stolen right in front of us by a group of people that walked into the store and grabbed the cash. And he says here that even if it means less revenue for us, I have to look out for the safety of my staff. And it's what we talked about yesterday. What good is running a business with a physical cash register only to find out at the end of the day, all the profit that you could have made and maybe even then some has been stolen from you or miscalculated or just lost.
Watch them be like, well, if you want to keep cash, we're going to take away 2A. If you want to keep 2A, we're going to take away cash.
And then Quamson says that if the city adopts the proposal, officials should increase the police patrols in the area. He added that when he went to the police department to report the theft, they basically said, no, there's nothing that can be done. And, Walmart's in a similar situation. Granted, they're not having cash stolen from them out of the registers, but they're losing money by people literally walking in, stealing what they want, walking out the front door, and there's nothing that they can do about it.
Correct.
And, people say, well, why don't they hire security? Well, there's a cost for that.
Yeah, there's a cost, and that cost gets pushed on to the consumer, and then the consumer bitches and moans about the cost of everything.
There's a cost for it, let alone people don't really want to do their jobs. So then they're paying for the security that's not doing their jobs because the security's going to say, I'm not getting paid enough to risk my life for people trying to come in here and kill people over, a pound of chicken, a dozen eggs, a gallon of milk. And then the legal ramifications behind any possible altercation between the security guard and the thief.
The thief, for some reason, always gets to win.
This is how our legal system doesn't work now. Julie Mathey, co-owner and director of business operations at Hune Bakery, said the store accepted cash until the COVID pandemic, then moved to online orders.
That's convenient.
She says, we have kept the cashless policy for several reasons, and she explained, one, it made our transactions more efficient with less face-to-face interactions and long periods of time with customers. We didn't have to touch the money. We didn't have to go to the bank every day. And at that point, the country was experiencing a coin shortage, so we could not reliably obtain coins from the bank.
I still love that coin shortage. If nobody's out spending coins, then why are you out? And if people are out spending coins, why are you out?
But this one's really going to bake your noodle. So
bake your noodle? Is that what we're going with? Okay, keep going.
Who's not necessarily really going to have the ability and dexterity to handle cash?
Newborns and toddlers and older people.
AI.
Oh, that. You meant physically, I'm trying to picture a toddler counting out its change.
AI is being used to replace people. And if you can eliminate as much physical interaction as possible and keep it digital, keep it in code, keep it on the blockchain, AI.
Okay.
This is it.
So we're about to be iRobot.
She told city officials that the same issues continue through a lesser degree now, and crime is also a concern. We do not have any cash nor a safe on site, so we are less likely to be a target for theft, and there's no tip jar.
No, you're not less likely. They'll just get pissed when they come in there to rob you and you have nothing, and then you just probably more likely for violence. You're just less likely to lose your cash. You're not less likely to lose your life.
Further, she said, it also eliminated the problem with counterfeit bills, which were passed 3 times when the bakery was located on Dempster Street. And Mathey says that we are very empathetic with people experiencing financial difficulties, homelessness. We donate our leftover food every day to local food pantries, and we give to many local nonprofits throughout the year. And I really hope that our track record for helping others and understanding that speaks for itself. Perhaps, maybe, but still, at the end of the day, this is pushing businesses into a really, really interesting conundrum. Theft will still occur. Mm-hmm. It'll just be for product instead of money. Or they'll come up with some new way to hold you up and then hold a device to your POS, point of sale, and then take your money that way. They will evolve.
Yeah, of course it will.
Now, it says, personally, when I opened up my shop 2 years ago, there was a rash of robberies in the area that she noted. Now we don't have cash. You can't rob us. I like the peace of mind that I can press a button and have my funds deposited into my bank, and no one has to count down the bills in a cash register or make a mistake. Now, we're already nurturing these young people to work in a business, and I like the idea that they don't have to handle cash, and especially if I'm not in the establishment. I can close my business remotely. All they have to do is lock the door and clean up, and that relieves a lot of stress and pressure. And eventually, I mean, actually, really right now, with the tech that's available, Schlage offers it, Quickset offers it.
You just push a button and lock your door.
You can do it remotely. Yeah. Now, there are issues with these cashless payments, as we've already discussed, but according to the ATM marketplace, there are three main issues. And it says that if you look up the word cashless on Google, you will get a flood of articles heralding it as the way of the future, particularly when it comes to payments. And while it can be a useful tool, I often find such articles ignore many inherent issues with cashless payments that continue to cause major issues. And in particular, I believe the three major issues with cashless are infrastructure, resilience of cash, and the underbanked. And it says that with infrastructure, this person visited, or they went to a concert or a festival, and they linked their debit card to their RFID bracelet beforehand, like they were supposed to, because it was a cashless festival. But none of the vendors were properly set up to accept the cashless payments. He said he was happy that he brought a backup. But again, this is much like the bar in Brussels. When the system goes down, somebody's at a huge loss.
Well, that's like when we went to the Fort Walton Beach Convention Center for that Eagles concert thingy. We went to go help Magnolia. Seven Bridges went to go help Magnolia Soap with their vendor setup there. And the bar thingies that they had set up inside, I was the first one. I was the first one over at this guy's bar thing. And when I went to pay with my card, the system hadn't linked together and there was nothing that we could do. So 2 drinks are made there. I've got a card and no cash, and we just have to look at each other. And I was like, well, so I either need to go find cash or you need to get your system fixed.
Or you're getting free drinks.
Or I get free drinks. I got to take the drinks. I went and found cash, brought him cash back. But then they took out the entire POS system, the entire thing, took it away and brought in a whole new one because they could not get the card reader to link up to the computer itself.
So 2 things I'm hearing from this is, 1, all you do all day is drive around and drink margaritas.
Yes,
And 2 is that if you're going to get a job replacing POS systems.
Correct.
Got it. Now, also, you went and found cash, which is interesting because the next article here is that ATMs are becoming less common as more payments go cashless.
Well, I didn't find it at ATM. I found it at a person.
But ATMs were a good side hustle for a lot of people to buy these ATMs, load them up, put them in locations, but they're going to be going away. This side hustle, passive income stream opportunity is going to be eliminated, in addition to the added damages to the machines that we've already discussed yesterday with people putting glue in the card slot reader to force a tap to pay or tap to access transaction. It's a shift. It's a change. I hope people are paying attention, who are listening, who are engaging in this technology, in these businesses, and who are also business owners, because the shift is happening, the change is happening, and if you're not changing along with it and staying ahead of it, you're not going to have a good chance of surviving it.
Nope.
So it says that according to the ATM marketplace, a bigger point here is that while cashless can be a useful tool, consumers and businesses will still want options to accept different forms of payment, which will include cash. You got to have that backup. The third big problem is being underbanked. With cashless, there is a huge impact to those who do not have access to banking service, the unbanked and underbanked, like we discussed earlier. And as a result, many communities have begun to ban fully cashless stores, including New York City, where multiple businesses have been fined for refusing to accept cash. Cashless, while certainly an interesting trend, has hurdles to overcome if it is to become the only method available. But, I think with the Fed, the central banks behind it, government, WEF, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to make it happen. And all these obstacles that are in place will be mitigated and managed by way of the government having more control and more oversight. But it's only a matter of time.
I agree.
It's only a matter of time. Thank you, Squirrel Tribe. Thank you, Michelle, again for joining us. Folks, I hope you guys got a lot of information out of this. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. Stay tuned, subscribe, give the video a like, share, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I want to do the Blues Clues.